Subscribers, I got a video for you here. This session that I want to go over is interesting to me. This was the target for this one. This was a couple years ago. Was the geodesic dome right here while it was on fire. Now the geodesic dome was built for the 1967 World's Fair in Montreal. It was designed by Buckminster Fuller, and it was active for the 67 World's Fair. This fire took place in 1976 and it burned the structure down. This was the target here for me, was the dome on fire 1976. This is the set. I was blind to the target, of course. I'm going through this session here. I'll just kind of go through this because this is another example of kind of moving through time. Because what I was being asked to look at was this, but what I ended up looking at was the dome when it was active. So here I'm working through stage 2, getting some target contact here. Of concerned. Gonna do my sketch here. An AOL break here of a large object being moved. Large object being moved. That's my AOL. Moving slowly. This is kind of interesting because when the fire took place in '76, they were in the process of renovating the dome, and then it caught fire. So it's interesting that I was picking up on this idea that this thing was being moved, but it goes further into that, or I go further into that. Moving slowly. Well, the signal like a parade. See, here I still have this idea that this thing is moving slowly somehow. So the shape, I'm experiencing the shape of this thing, but I still have this idea that something is moving, and so I add these wheels on in here. Now, this here is this trolley that Buckminster Fuller designed for the dome. This was how you got into the dome. You didn't just walk through the front door. You took a trolley into the dome. This trolley in 1976 was gone. So that part of it was gone. That's what makes this interesting to me, is that instead of going to 1976 here, I go back into 1967. And I'm getting this trolley and all these things. But that's what's interesting about this, and what was interesting to me about this target was this entrance here into the side of the building. But I'm making my way to that here as I'm kind of getting this idea of something moving. Now this is interesting because this looks like lack of fusion to me. So we have the shape of the dome, and then we have this kind of track here for the trolley, but there's a lack of fusion. So I'm not sure what fits where or how it all pieces together. Let's kind of move along a little bit here. Branded, labeled, sign. Rotating. Yeah, so I still have the shape here, and I'm still getting this thing going around. I'm confused at this point. I'm not sure how this works. I'm getting that there's motion going on here, but I'm having a difficult time comprehending what it is that I'm perceiving here. So I'm doing the best I can to get this idea documented and try to explore it here. Like there's a space between it and the ground. Yeah, AOL, the signal here, like the Coral Castle turning doors. This thing has got me really confused. This is not normal. I mean, if you think about it, this is a structure, and your entranceway you have to enter in through a trolley as opposed to walking through. It's a very strange notion. Big. Smooth. Let's get on to the next thing here. This dipping and turning. Getting into this track here. This is catching my interest. Ooh. This movement is important. There's the trolley. It goes right into the center of this thing. Look at how interesting that is. That's what an amazing thing. I'm getting this kind of rotating, moving mechanism here. Object. Of the movement. I'm curious about this movement. What is making this thing happen? What's the purpose of the movement? What's the purpose of it? It's like it's looking in different directions. Observing. Right here, I have a lot going on in my mind. I'm getting that whatever this big thing is, there's people here, they're looking in different directions. It's some kind of a mechanism, a machine of some kind. With this kind of on this track here, and it's moving and it's kind of making its way through. It's very. I'm trying to get out of my mind what is. It's like in my mind right here. It's like stuck. I'm bottlenecking with information here. I feel like I'm inside it. I feel like I'm inside of this thing, looking out. Like I'm looking out of a window. Adjustable. Can be manipulated. Feels like there is a stop or a point where it cannot turn anymore. Let me try to sketch that. This is the mechanics of it that have me very confused right here. So stuck on this wobbling thing. And I'm about to find out why here as I get more into the mechanics of it. It's how this thing is balancing on this track. Right here. This is another interesting phenomena here of remote viewing, is that it's inverted. I'm seeing it upside down in my mind. Right in here, connected. Sitting in or fit in. Slotted. This, this I can feel though. Making my way through this. The engineering of it is weird to me. Space. In here. Like it's hovering. Again, I'm going further back in time. Because the fire is not that interesting to me, but when this thing was live, that's really cool. People. Feels like there's people in it. In here. That's what I'm feeling. These people are in here and they're just kind of going along this track. Inside. I want to explore that more. What are they doing in there? What's going on in here? You zip a little bit here. They're moving around. It's kind of rumbling along. They feel like they are condensed, like on a train. people doing inside? What are they doing in there? They're looking forward. You know, they're sitting out there and they're moving along. That's what they're doing. Curious though. There are my people. They're in there looking around. Metallic. In my mind, there's all this information is just getting translated and processed in my mind right here. Trying to figure it out. Or at least, I wouldn't say trying to figure it out, trying to translate it correctly is really what I'm going through here. I'm sitting with it. At this point, I'm just waiting. What question do I ask? What's going on here? All right, it's moving. Down, then turning. Moving down and turning. This was so interesting to me that that's how you enter this structure, through the side of it. It's just so bizarre. And I'm really curious. Really, this element here of, I mean, the whole thing, the whole dome is really cool when I was looking into it. But the fact that he set up the entrance like this is just so unusual. And that was, Lynn Buchanan calls it a temporal attractor. Temporal attractor. This thing attracted my attention through time. So it brought me from 1976, which was the intended time marker, all the way back to 1967 to when this thing was working. Things inside. Things inside. I'm curious. Now I want to do, I have an image concept in my mind. I want to try to draw it. I'm sketching it out now. Right here, now I'm really confused because I'm like, is this an igloo? I think that's what I had. I think that was the AOL in my mind. I'm like, an igloo, but there's a train. Or I was really confused. Inside. Yeah, well, it's gonna like a piñata. forcing. So getting something's moving, there's still a movement happening here. I'm not done yet. Like a break. Break. Tightening. Loosening. Stopping. Going back into the mechanism of this trolley here and the braking system that it goes and it moves and then it has to stop. Directions. How about out here? End this. Okay, I'm done. 136. There it was. This was the geodesic dome. Again, the most interesting thing here for me, why this was an interesting session beyond getting accurate data of the trolley and the sketching the dome, getting the shapes correct or close, is the temporal anomaly. That's what really stuck out. That's what made this session important to me and taught me a great lesson. And because I had to research and then finally find in Lynn Buchanan's book, Seventh Sense, where he was talking about temporal attractors. And then I was like, great, I have an example. I have an example of a temporal attractor, that I'm tasked to look at the fire in 1976, but I cannot stop with my curiosity bringing me to 1967 when this thing was on and active. And again, when I was researching it, what an amazing design he did. And you can see where it kind of goes up. It's not like a straight thing. It's kind of it was probably a pretty bumpy ride to getting into that thing. But this is what I love about remote viewing is how I get to experience time and moving through realms of time, finding something in the timeline that is attractive to me or piques my curiosity, and then moving to that and existing there. That's what makes the process, we call it remote viewing, but the process of human perception, where we have the ability below the threshold of our awareness, below the threshold barrier in what Ingo calls the core mental processes and the psychic nucleus, where we have the ability to move through and experience realms of time and space, and then move along the timeline. That's what makes this session cool to me. Like people may look at this and say, oh, look at the shape of the building, and oh yeah, the trolley, and isn't that a good parlor trick, or isn't that cool that somebody can do that? But I don't care about that. What I care about is that I went from this time to this time. It was the time factor. The time factor is what gets me. I'm more interested in time than I am in space. So That's the geodesic dome session. This one is available if you want to watch the entire session. A couple of years back. But anyway, I hope you enjoy that. And I haven't gone back over this one in a while, but I've been thinking about this one. I've been thinking about this one because I'm doing a lot of work with time right now. So it's good to go back and look at these. Anyway, hope you enjoy that and many, many more to come. And thank you again for being subscribers. I greatly appreciate it. And so many more to come. Thank you.